Welcome to the Greatness Together podcast. Curious minds unite. Mother-daughter conversations that delve into the heart of psychology. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Simonne.
Hey.
No, don't stop it. She can cut it out.
Okay. I need
Have a little sip. What's in your cup, Simonne?
agua.
Agua.
What
Not
is-
vodka.
Not vodka.
Not vodka.
We are Russian though.
Yeah. Well, one little tiny smidge.
Yeah.
What percentage?
So I am.
You are. What percentage?
I don't remember.
A very small part.
Oh.
I'm all Scottish.
Oh. I guess we are McVanel.
McVanel. But I don't like hats. Okay, should we do this?
Of course.
Go time? Yes. All right. You're very far away from me. Huh? Why did you get so far away from me? Snuggle up to me. Snuggle up. Yeah. Yes. Woo!
Feel my pulse.
It says, I'm excited for the podcast with my mama. Hold on. I'm excited for my podcast with my mama. Yeah, that's what the beat is. Got the beat. It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Zero pressure.
Yeah.
Zero pressure.
Yeah.
Yep. Ready?
Just talking.
We're just talking.
Close my eyes the whole
You're just talking with the person that you met first.
Mhm.
You're like, you open your little gooey eyes
Mm.
and you saw me. I'm your first person that you ever met. Well, maybe the doctor. I don't know who that is to be able to bring them to the podcast.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I'm your first person. So you just have a conversation with your mama. Conversation with your mama. Conversation. Hold on. Conversation with your mama. Conversation with your mama. That's what I just heard. Conversation with your mama. Mama. Speaking of which, we need to bring Nana on a podcast.
Talk about art.
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 Ooh, and you know, we need to talk about art. People's belief that they're not good artists.
Oh.
We'll be able to talk about that whole exercise. Do you remember when Nana came over and she brought all of her art supplies and Auntie Darcy was there and she sat all of us down? And she taught us all how to Zen doodle.
No, but
And then I was like, oh my God, we should monetize this. And then I forced her to design all of these other additional. Have I not shown you this?
no.
Okay.
I mean, kind of.
So I have that framed because I can't not be extra. So I, of course, framed my Zen doodle and then I put inspirational quotes around it and sitting upstairs in my office.
Cold in here.
And then I'm telling you something really fascinating. And then I turned it into this booklet. So anyway,
That's amazing.
that was a diversion from the point around, yes, we should invite Nana to the podcast and talk our limiting beliefs about being an artist. I don't know if that was going to be a catchy song. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't want to do this one though? This podcast? This episode?
Yep.
Okay. What are we talking about today?
So today we're talking about pre versus procrastination.
Damn, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
the question is, if you have an assignment, are you getting it done 3 weeks before the deadline or 3 hours before the deadline?
take a guess which one I was in school.
Probably 3 months.
Actually, yes. I think I started reading the textbook before I even had the first day of class.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yes.
That's very Sarah McVanel.
I love your reaction. Oh my God. Yeah.
I know you told me to do that at the start of the year.
And how'd you feel
Read
about
all
that?
the first chapters, blah, blah, blah. Honestly better. I felt more prepared on the first day and I knew what was happening. And
Yeah.
especially in the course and the environment and everything.
Very different from high school.
Hell yeah.
Well, and part
Did I
of
say hell?
It's our podcast. Yeah. I don't think you want to drop bigger swear bombs than that, but I don't know if we have a church crowd who's going to be listening to this. So I think they're allowed to say that. So I want to see your question and raise you a question.
Oh.
About a workplace.
Oh.
Yeah. So the question is, in a work environment, do you get your report done and start thinking about the report you have to get done the second you hand in the last one? Or do you do your best work like hours before it's due? That's kind of like the precrastination, post-crastination, or procrastination, pre and pro.
Both sound quite tiring.
See, that's good perspective for you as a student, because, now maybe you could be really glad that you're just writing essay and not reports.
I guess so. As of now, I am the most thankful person in the world.
Yeah. Wow. That's all it took.
Yeah.
We could do a right turn on this episode being about thankfulness and gratitude.
Oh,
yeah.
Go for hours.
We could go for hours. So when we talk about pre and procrastination, I love how you started with the question. We should probably define it. Yeah. And actually, it's funny that we have to define it, because I didn't even know it was a thing until I watched a podcast last week. Because, of course, what does Mama do in her spare time?
Listen to audiobooks or podcasts.
Yeah, because I'm a very relaxed human. Yeah. Yeah. But in all seriousness, though, it was a really good podcast. So it was a really good TED Talk. So Adam Grant, which may not be like, oh, Adam Grant, is he like Beyonce? But in the organizational industrial psychology world, he's kind of a big dude. And he wrote this book called Original Thinkers. And one of the aspects of original thinkers that surprised him is that they have a tendency to procrastinate. This is very inconvenient for me to have noticed this, Simonne, because I thought it was not a good thing to be a procrastinator. Like Grandpa drilled it into our head. He would always say, why put off till tomorrow what you can do today? Like everybody in our family kind of has that vibe. Would you say?
I understand.
Like Dad literally right now is preparing the garage to have our Tesla charger installed, and it's not being installed till Friday or something.
Yeah.
So
I know he's ripping it apart.
Yeah. So we're kind of like on the precrastination side. But as I say, I didn't even realize it was a thing until I watched this podcast.
Listen to this podcast.
It was a TED Talk. I'm lying.
We're both wrong.
We're both wrong.
First time in our lives.
First time on. Oh my God. And it was caught on tape. Hashtag old school. Little retro moment there. I don't even know the retro. That's what I meant to. Yeah. Okay.
TED Talk.
TED Talk. TED Talk. So we're watching this TED Talk, and he talks about procrastination actually being a good thing, and that we have a bias towards precrastination and this bias towards action. And I was like, mind blowing, because it made me realize that's where the advice came to you, and the advice came to you that you talked about at the beginning of the school year. But you said you felt good. You said you felt good.
Felt good. Felt prepared.
Felt prepared. So do you think that there is such a thing as being too much on the procrastination side of things?
Oh, I'm being put on the spot.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like too much precrastination can lead to like burnout. Like if you're just getting everything done in like one night that's due in like 2 weeks. Yeah, that's great, because you'll have like 2 weeks to like ease into other stuff and relax, but also that's like, it could be too much. But if you take it easy.
Yeah. Is it always easy though? Like procrastination seems, maybe it's like taking it easy. So like, when is it taking it easy in a healthy way versus to the extreme and it's not actually helpful?
preparing and going, like, taking little chunks at it as you go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, I have this big psych paper, actually due today. Gonna go hand it in later.
Yeah.
And we got the instructions and the rubric and everything for it about like a month and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just kind of been like chipping away at it basically this whole period. So I don't like, I'm not like scrounging around to finish it like tonight. Not saying that's a bad thing. That does work for some people, though. I am my mother's daughter, so I am a precrastinator. So I like got stuff done beforehand. Like I did quite a bit of it during reading week, which was around a month ago. I really used that like opportunity to make some progress. So because I know I'd be like stressing if I wasn't, and I'm not the best under stress.
Could you imagine being somebody who just started it this weekend? Like I get stressed out for them. And I graduated 1,000 years ago from that program.
Yeah, I know you did.
Yeah. By the way, little interesting tidbit for everybody. We did the same. I did the program that Simonne's doing now.
At the same school.
At the same school.
With the same prof?
No, I didn't have such a lovely prof. I mean, I had lovely profs, but I didn't mean like this lovely. You love your professor. Let's give a shout out to her.
Dr. Martini. It's probably not listening. Shout out Dr. Martini.
Dr. Martini. That was like the loudest.
That
was your emotional outburst for the podcast. That's how much you love her.
Yeah, that shows my enthusiasm.
Yeah, exactly. The
Should
volume.
I say it louder.
I think that.
Shout out.
Yeah, well, that's literally you did a shout out.
Maybe she can like hear me at her, wherever her house is.
Probably she
if
has.
I hear it loud enough.
She has the heartbeat. You guys are connected.
Or yeah, that too. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you, when you talk about how you would feel anxious if you're doing it right beforehand. That TED Talk, not podcast
or audio
book or whatever else I said. I consume them all. The interesting thing he was saying is that the original thinkers that he interviewed for his book didn't actually feel anxious at all. They did their best work. So we got curious.
These are the procrastinators?
These are the procrastinators. Okay. And I was like, what? I don't know. Maybe he interviewed only certain people. But actually, when we started to look into this for preparing for the podcast episode, it made total sense. Like we learned about, there's two types of procrastinators. There's passive ones, which are people who put it off because they're anxious and they can't get started. They get too nervous. And then there's proactive procrastinators, which is what he's talking about, I think. I mean, I'm not Adam Grant, hence you could probably tell. Darn, I know. But I'm guessing from what he's describing is that he's interviewed the original thinkers who are the proactive procrastinators. These are people who do their best work by spending the time thinking about it. So it kind of makes me think about what you're saying earlier, and I hadn't actually thought about it in the context of burnout and putting undue stress onto yourself. And I have actually had that, where I know, shocking that I worked too hard. What? That I had burnout. What?
Not the busiest woman I know or anything.
not or anything.
I just slack around all day.
I just slack around. Slack, get down. Slack, dance break. But I just, it causes me anxiety to not get things started. But then when you start to think about like people who have original thoughts, I realize, well, there's probably part of me, like in this podcast, for example, I mentioned it to you in the summer, like, how cool would it be? And you're like, well, let me think about that. And then we're talking about something at the dinner table. What was it that we were talking about at the dinner table where you went like, actually, yeah, maybe I'm ready to do that podcast. I feel like it's when you're talking about feminism, the 3 ways of feminism. Yeah. So anyway, there's
Keep your eye
something.
out for that.
Yeah, look out
Look out for that.
Look at that. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. But really, like, there was like this switch where you like got excited about it.
Better at that than me.
Work on it for the next podcast episode, please. So
Look
you got excited about it, and then you wanted to do it immediately. And then I went, whoa, hold your horses.
Mm-hmm.
Full disclaimer, you were not on a horse at the time, but I was like, hold your horses. I have to get prepared. And that's, I think, maybe where we can leave our listeners, all three of them at this early pace. Nana and my psychiatrist, Dr. Collins, who wants to listen to it, and maybe we'll force Dad to listen to it. Our three listeners for this very first podcast. This is where we'll leave you, Nana and Dad and Dr. Collins, and maybe your Dr.
Martini.
Maybe we'll have 4 to 3.5 because Dad will only listen halfway. Anyway, so this is, I think, maybe where we can leave kind of the thinking is that what if instead of having to say, am I a procrastinator? Am I a precrastinator? What if it were a continuum where you don't want the worst of each of those because they're both have value, right? Taking the time to think through and plan and do when your best work is, which for some people can be lots and lots of thinking and preparation, and then they like whip it out, which somebody might see as procrastination, but really for them, it's how they do their best work.
Yeah, that sometimes works for me. It's like when I have a time crunch, I know I have this amount of time to get it done, and I just
yes.
And it honestly sometimes works better.
Yeah, sometimes works better. So that's like on one side of the healthy side of that continuum. And then the other side of the healthy side of the continuum is what you just described, that you have been working away on your assignment, not spending that whole time fretting and stressed, but knowing that you're getting it done slowly, amongst other things. You didn't lose out on doing fun things today or this weekend. You went out with your friend last night. You're going, and with Dad today to, what are you guys doing?
Flea
marketing. So it's like not like you had to lose out on your life because you were extreme procrastinating. But as you say, like you have to do it one last review to get it in. So that's kind of like, I think what would be helpful. People knowing that there's pre and procrastination, but also that there's a healthy continuum. And then just past the healthy sides of each of that continuum is where anxiety hangs out. When you feel like you have to get started so early because if you don't, you won't get it perfect, high perfectionism. Or if you don't, like maybe you'll be judged, like high toxic boss or work environment. Or you have to get started early because you're so overwhelmed. Hello, burnout. Or the other extreme of not getting it done because like that's that passive procrastination of, I don't know what's expected of me. I'll never get anything right. I don't know what I'm good at. That other extreme. What we want to do is be mindful of where anxiety and it is on those extreme tail ends and somehow be like in the middle there somewhere, but it's okay to be lean one towards the other. Yeah.
Yeah. Different things for work for different people and different minds and different
it's acceptance. And actually that's kind of like, where of course everything in my opinion goes back to recognition. So on our website, we talk about, we are recognition experts. We invigorate companies to see their people as exceptional and together create a scrumptious, thriving culture where everyone belongs. So I want to bottom line it from a workplace. And then I'm going to ask you about bottom lining it in an academic space. Okay. So I think if we bottom line it from a workplace, it is about,
you define bottom line.
Bottom line is like, this is like, of all the things we talked about, here's the juicy stuff. Here's the summary. Here's the conclusion with the jazz hands. All right. A bottom line is like a summary with jazz hands. No.
Summary with jazz hands.
Summary with jazz hands. No, it's not that it's too big a word for you. It's a coaching term. When we invite clients to bottom line.
I'm not a soccer coach. So
no. or a leadership coach or a leader. There's different types of coaches. So we're going to bottom line it from a work standpoint.
Let's do this.
And that is, we recognize people when we value that there is uniqueness, as long as it's within that healthy continuum, we need to respect and value each style, each of the sides of each of that on the continuum. That some people will need to do some time thinking and processing and reflecting, and that is okay. And some people will want to just jump to it, and we want to make sure because we have a bias for action in our society and in our organizations, we want to make sure that we do not let our bias for action mean that we value people in the precrastination side more than the
procrastination.
So bottom line it from an academic setting in the context of school, like for teachers, instructors, students, what's like the bottom line for you? What's the summary with jazz hands for you about what we've been talking about?
Well, they're both not necessarily bad. As I said, they work like different people work better under different things.
Mm-hmm.
So don't worry if it's the last day before you gotta hand it in.
Yeah. So, and I think what's really powerful about that is that students can think about and reflect on what is their style and their best work. And don't forget that some people will literally not be available to you last minute.
Yeah.
So like if your TA's office hours for getting feedback is on this date, sure, it may work for you to do your best work the night before, but you won't have access to resources. So yeah. I think we have had the most delicious conversation in the history of conversations. What do you think?
I think this was so scrumptious.
So scrumptious. What are we going to talk about next time? Do you remember? I think
next time, tune in. Save the date. Don't know the date.
Don't know the date.
But check regularly.
What can people look forward to next?
Fortune versus Lucky Deconstructed. I knew that off the top of my head. I did not read that off of something.
No, you did not read that off an iPad.
Yeah.
No. We hope you have enjoyed this focus on a multi-generational perspective to a concept in psychology. We'll talk about one every single week. And Simonne, can I just say, I'm very proud of you and I'm glad to spend this time with you.
Right back at you, Ma.
Bye, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us for the Greatness Together podcast. Never miss an episode. Subscribe wherever you catch your podcasts. Yours in greatness, Simonne and Sarah.